In this video, we're going to talk about the selective deployment. First, we're going to have a quick overview. Then we're going to take a look at the essential configuration. Then how to reuse the settings that we configured for our selective deployment. And lastly, we're going to have an example. Let's navigate to a project and take a look at the deployment options. I'm going to use a default project. This is created based on the default template, so there is no pre-configuration in here. For the deployment, we need to go to the Admin tab and select the Export for Deployment button. For this, project admin role is required, and it's only going to be visible if the deployment was enabled properly. When we use the default deployment, we're going to deploy all of the trackers and the projects that are related to our current project. With the selective deployment, we have the options to deselect some of these projects or trackers. Now let's see how to enable selective deployment. First, let's go back to the home page. Let's go to System Admin and Application Configuration. Once we enable the selective deployment, this is going to be applicable instance-wide. Let's look for deployment. And underneath the deployment configuration, we need to write Enable Selective Deployment True. This is going to turn on the selective deployment option for our instance. Let's save it. And now we are ready to navigate back to our project. Let's go to the Admin tab and click on Export for Deployment. The deployment export page was done, so let's navigate there. Since we turn on the selective deployment, we have the options to include or deselect some of the trackers that we have here available. Notice that currently there is only one project here, but if our project had references for other projects, those projects would be included in here as well. And with the selective deployment, we would have the option to deselect some of those projects. Notice that we also have the Include Items option, but it's only available for a few trackers. This is going to be only available for the config type trackers, so that we have the options whether to include the items or not. For the test case type tracker, bug tracker, requirements type of tracker, so basically the work item type trackers, only the configuration is going to be deployed and not the work items. So let's say we only want to deploy one of the trackers. Let's choose the tasks tracker. Before we do so, we're going to make some changes so that we can see the result later on after the deployment. So now that I configured my settings, I can go ahead and save it to a file. Once I click that, the download starts. I'm going to have this file on my computer. This is going to download a JSON file that later on we can load. Now that I have my configuration file, let's go to our tasks tracker and let's do some modifications. Just going to go to the configuration and just add a custom field. It's going to call it custom 1. Let's add another one, custom 2. Let's save it. Now we are ready to deploy this to our other instance. So I'm going to go back to Admin, Export for Deployment, just like before, go to the Deployment Export page. But this time I'm going to load my settings file. I'm going to use the selective deployment JSON file. Once we loaded that, you can immediately see the previously saved configuration. Of course, this is just for demo purposes. In an ideal scenario, there would be a lot more configuration, so it would save us a lot of time. Now we are ready to export, so I'm just going to hit export. This is going to start a background job. Once that finishes, we are ready to download our zip file. Now that we exported our deployment file, I'm navigated to a new environment. I'm going to open up the default project, the same project as we had before. So we can refer to this. Let's say that previously we had our config environment, and let's say that this is the production environment. I'm going to navigate to the trackers, select the tasks tracker, and just take a quick look at the configuration here. Let's go to the fields. And as you can see, here we don't have our newly created custom fields yet. So what we need to do is to deploy our changes. For that, I'm going to navigate to my Projects tab, open up the context menu, and click on Apply Project Deployment. Here, I'm going to attach the file that we previously downloaded, wait for it to upload, and then I'm ready to apply this deployment. It's going to start another background job. We're going to get a notification once it's finished. We got the notification that the import has finished, and we can take a look in the project browser page. It's not going to create a new project because it's going to find the same project based on its ID. So it's only going to apply the changes. So if I navigate to my default project, I can go to the trackers, tasks, go to the configuration, fields. Now our changes are visible in the new instance, and nothing else was changed in this project, only this tracker that we selected during the selective deployment.